Om Sri Maha Periyava Charanam. This story beautifully illustrates the divine grace of Sri Maha Periyava, showing how his unseen hand guides and blesses devotees who truly yearn for him. O Maha Periyava, everyone rejoices in celebrating you as the supreme blessing of divine grace. But only I seem to be deprived of the fortune of seeing you, the God who moves everywhere. It has been many years since I last had your darshan, when you visited our town during my childhood. Since then, I have been longing for the greatest blessing of seeing you again. But due to my financial struggles, I have been unable to travel to the north, where you now bestow your grace. With such thoughts weighing heavily on his heart, an ardent devotee named Balachander became deeply emotional one evening. His eyes welled up with tears as he pondered over his misfortune of not being able to visit the saint for years. Balachander was living in Tiruvanmayur, Chennai, in a relative's house, barely managing his expenses with his meager income. He could not afford to travel beyond Chennai. That evening, after reading an article in a weekly magazine about Sri Maha Periyava, his longing for darshan overwhelmed him. Unable to control his grief, he cried himself to sleep. Despite his relative's insistence, he refused to eat dinner. A divine turn of events. The next morning, his tear-streaked face revealed his distress. His relatives noticed it and asked, "Balachander, were you crying last night?" Even at his office, his colleagues inquired, "Sir, you look disturbed. Did you cry?" Only his closest friend knew the reason for his sorrow. He confided in him and began his work. Just then, the company's owner entered the office and, while walking past Balachander's desk, called him, "Balachander, come to my room." Balachander assumed it was an urgent work-related matter and followed him. The moment he entered, the boss asked, "Do you know where Maha Periyava is staying?" Balachander was taken aback by this unexpected question. "I believe he is somewhere near Mahagoan. I had planned to visit him and even booked a first-class train ticket. But due to an urgent office meeting, I cannot go. Instead of cancelling the ticket, I thought of offering it to someone who would truly appreciate it. I immediately thought of you. You must go. Consider it as my offering. I will arrange for the ticket to be transferred to your name. Get ready to leave." Balachander was utterly stunned by this sudden turn of events. He nodded in agreement and walked out of the room. Though delighted by this unexpected opportunity, a new worry arose in Balachander's mind. He needed money for expenses like local travel from Mahagoan to Maha Periyava's location and his return journey to Chennai. He shared his concern with his close friend, who immediately reassured him, "Don't worry, since Maha Periyava himself has arranged this opportunity for you. I will give you 100 rupees for your expenses. You must go without hesitation." Balachander hesitated to accept the money, but realizing he had no other option, he took it. Being an honest man, he promised, "I will return 10 rupees every month for the next 10 months. As he had never travelled beyond Chennai, Balachander felt nervous. Moreover, he did not know the local language. His apprehension persisted until he reached Mahagoan. Upon arrival, he faced another challenge. He did not know how to reach Maha Periyava's location. As he stood on the roadside contemplating his next step, a truck carrying sugarcane approached. He signaled for it to stop. Using his limited Hindi, he asked the driver about Sri Shankaracharya's whereabouts. To his surprise, the driver, who seemed familiar with the saint's presence, happily offered him a ride. The journey continued for several miles, and finally the truck driver dropped Balachander near the very place where Maha Periyava was residing. Balachander hesitated, worrying about the fare, but the driver with a smile refused any payment. "I am happy to have helped you see Maha Periyava," he said, and left. Balachander was astounded. The bliss of darshan. Filled with devotion, he rushed towards the saint's abode. As he saw Sri Maha Periyava, tears of joy streamed down his face. He stood there, overwhelmed, taking in the divine presence of the great sage. Though Periyava did not utter a single word, Balachander felt that the saint had directly responded to his heart's longing. His mind was filled with an indescribable sense of fulfillment and bliss. After experiencing the unparalleled joy of Sri Maha Periyava's darshan, Balachander reached the railway station for his return journey to Chennai. Standing in line to buy a ticket, he mentally planned to return the unused 100 rupees to his friend as a lump sum instead of repaying in installments. At that moment, he overheard two people speaking Tamil behind him. Delighted to hear his mother tongue, he turned around. Sensing his relief, one of them asked, "Are you going to Madras?" Balachander nodded. They immediately pulled him out of the queue and said, "We are three devotees who came for Periyava's darshan. We had booked 3 first-class tickets for our return, but one of us has to travel to Bombay instead. Instead of cancelling the extra ticket, why don't you use it?" Balachander hesitated. What if they asked me to pay for the ticket? Sensing his hesitation, the devotee named Raman reassured him. "Why are you hesitating? For us, taking a devotee like you along is a blessing in itself. You don't have to pay for the ticket. Just travel with us." Tears welled up in Balachander's eyes again, this time out of sheer gratitude and divine astonishment. He turned towards Mahaperiyava's direction and joined his hands in deep reverence. His heartfelt prayer had not only been answered, but Periyava had also ensured that he could complete the entire journey without spending a single penny. Balachander, who had once wept in sorrow over his inability to see Mahaperiyava, now wept in joy, unable to contain his gratitude. The 100 rupees remained untouched, allowing him to return it in full. He marveled at the boundless compassion of Mahaperiyava, whose grace had arranged everything so perfectly. Apara Karuna Sindhum Jnanadam Shantarupinam Sri Chandrasekhara Gurum Pranamami Mudanvaham Hara Hara Shankara Jaya Jaya Shankara.